Hello. Our distinguished Presidency of the Republic of Turkey, Presidency of Defense Industries, government officials, valuable speakers, industrialists, and listeners. Welcome to you all. Since the very beginning of humankind, they have always desired to live in secure environments. Especially the incidents that took place in the last 10 years in the world have made it necessary to create safer societies. That's why making our borders and our cities safer is extremely important. Even more crucial than is to create and use technologies service this purpose. The economic growth only takes place in safe areas and development can only be ensured on secure grounds. We are going through rapid changes and especially unprecedented times. Security and security-related sectors need to maintain their activities in order to sustain their country's security. The research and development and manufacturing activities still persist. Biggest crisis times also hold a potential for the biggest opportunities. Most economics are talking about U or V type recovery. Are we going to be ahead of the curve or play catch up? New product development and investing into talent will help those to recover fast and take the lead. That's why the need for a new platform has arisen for these sectors to meet once again. Today, we are here with valuable speakers who lead the industry with their technologies and who will tell us about their industries. They will also address the industry's problems and future goals. With this regard, cross-sectoral information exchanges made between major actors in the industry will shed light onto our future. In this manner, space industry will be the first step and hope for unifying us all. Today, we are connecting Canada, United States of America, France, Italy, and Turkey. Our event is open to public and will last about 1 hour. SEDEC Talks will be streamed on our partners' YouTube channels and social media channels. It can also be viewed on cable TV channel 1, on the info channel of Turksat satellite channels with more than 118 countries. The questions of our viewers also will be accepted through our WhatsApp line. At the end of the meeting, you can also watch incredible videos of our speakers' products. We would like to extend our endless gratitude to our Presidency of Defense Industries, Head of Industrialization Department, Mr. Murat Çizgel, the CEO of our communication sponsor Turksat, and the moderator of our event, Mr. Cenk Şen. To our speakers who will enlighten us with their speeches today, the CEO of Turkish Aerospace Industries, Professor Dr. Temel Kotil, Vice President of Airbus Defence and Space, Mr. Jean-Marc Nas, the Vice President of SpaceX Commercial Sales Department, Mr. Tom Ochinero, and the Leonardo's Vice President of International Marketing and Strategic Campaigns in charge of Turkey and Central Asia, Mr. Camillo Prozzi, the CEO of AQST, Mr. Gurvinder Shah. With that, I would like to celebrate our listeners' May 19, the commemoration of Atatürk Youth and Sports Day. Before I leave the microphone to our Head of Industrialization, Mr. Murat Çizgel, to make his opening speech, I will leave you with the movie of the Presidency of Defense Industries. We aim for this event to become a shining light of hope to our industries and humanity. Stay safe and secure.
Doğa, kusursuz işleyen bir mekanizma. Biz de ilhamımızı doğanın büyüleyici özelliklerinden alıyoruz. Gökyüzünü keşfe çıkıyor, dağları, tepeleri aşıyor, denizleri kat ediyoruz. Havacılık, uzay teknolojileri, modern kara araçları, deniz araçları, silah sistemleri, siber güvenlik ve daha birçok alanda başarıdan başarıya koşuyor. Yerli ve milli üretim kapasitemizi her geçen gün arttırıyoruz. Cumhurbaşkanımız Sayın Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'ın liderliğinde yapılamaz denilenleri yapıyor. Tarihimizin en büyük atılım döneminde savunma sanayimizi zirveye taşıyoruz. Yenileşim, yaratıcılık, modern tasarım, teknoloji, araştırma ve geliştirme, güvenilirlik, dayanıklılık, teori ve pratik, girişimcilik, liderlik bizim anahtar kelimelerimiz. Bu kavramlardan yola çıkarak güçlü savunma teknolojileri üretiyor, dünyanın dört bir yanına ihraç ediyoruz. Her türlü ihtiyaca cevap verecek çözümleri bir bir hayata geçiriyoruz. Yeni girişim ve projelerle hep daha iyisini hedefliyoruz. Türk savunma sanayi olarak ihraç ettiğimiz ürünlere verdiğimiz satış sonrası lojistik destekler, bakım ve idame çözümlerimizle uluslararası partnerlerimiz için en iyi çözüm ortağı olma avantajını sağlıyoruz. Gücümüzü nereden mi alıyoruz? Biz gücümüzü çocuklarımızın hayallerinden, gençlerimizin enerjisinden, milletimizin cesaretinden alıyoruz. Cumhuriyetimizin 100. yılı olan 2023 yılında ülkemizin gücüne güç katıyor. Büyük işbirliği projeleriyle dünya barışına da katkı sağlıyoruz.
Hello everyone. My name is Murat Çizgel, Head of Industrialization Department under Presidency of Defense Industries of Turkey. I'm honored to be with you as an opening keynote speaker on behalf of Presidency of Defense Industries. I see that there are distinguished speakers from leading aerospace and defense companies here. Thanks to SEDEC for this valuable video conference and livecast organization under the name of SEDEC Talks. I believe today, with dear speakers from leading global aerospace companies, the discussions and talkings about future plans in this panel will have significant contributions on establishing good cooperations. Also, I believe that speech will help industries to be more hopeful after unfortunate coronavirus pandemic. Before panel discussions, I want to mention something about our defense industry capabilities, top strategies on industrializations, and our expectations from global aerospace companies. I suppose everybody had watched the video about our presidency before my speech. As you see, we had a significant improvement on defense and aerospace industry during the last few decades. If we evaluate shortly our competency level in these areas, we can say that most of the national defense requirements are fulfilled with our indigenous products and solutions. As a result of this, in 2019, Turkish defense sector had exceeded an annual revenue of $10 billion. Also, because of developing indigenous defense systems more recently, we had a chance of using relatively new technologies, and this led us to provide more competitive solutions for other countries' needs. As you know, defense and aerospace products are complex and sophisticated systems. In order to handle to produce such kind of complex systems or platforms, you need a very large industry ecosystems, including thousands of small and medium-sized companies, research institutions, startups, etc. With respect to our presidency industrialization strategies, which has been carried out for more than 15 years, and especially focused on localization, now we had a sufficient industry supply chain with thousands of technology-based SMEs. Currently, we have competitive capabilities in a very large variety of technologies: electro-optics, RF sensors, navigation systems, materials, composites, artificial intelligence, image processing can be a few examples. The main reason for talking here about our defense industry capabilities is to inform you that our defense and aerospace industry is ready and adequate for every kind of technological or industrial cooperations. And they are eager to find solutions They are eager to provide systems, materials, engineerings, designs, or technologies. As presidents of defense industries, we have been carrying out a program for last 2 years named as Industrial Competency Assessment and Support Program. We say shortly ADAP. This program is for our SMEs and focused on increasing the capabilities of SMEs. In the scope of ADAP, we also provide mentoring to SMEs in order to make them more effective in cooperating with international companies like you. Space as a part of aerospace sector now became an essential part for defense and other sectors such as communication, agriculture, etc. In my opinion, space is beyond the borders, which means that there is no limitation. Therefore, the developments in this technology and the effects of these developments are a little bit unpredictable. Nevertheless, they are full of hope for a more beautiful future. In other words, the developments in space technologies have a power of changing the rules in any area, including defense. Because of this reality, we had initiated our indigenous satellite programs approximately 15 years ago, such as Göktürk 1, 2, Rasat, and now they are in operation on their orbits. In Göktürk 1 program, we made an international cooperation with a global company also. And this relation is still ongoing as industrialization activities. Besides this, a few years ago, Ankara Airspace Industrial Zone had been established and located close to Turkish aerospace industries. Thus, the region became an aerospace base. In the scope of Industrial Zone, there will be also Manufacturing Technologies Excellence Centers, which will serve to all companies in the region with its infrastructures such as additive manufacturing. Recently and unfortunately, all of the world witnessed coronavirus pandemic and unexpected effects of this disaster. But also, we witnessed how all countries became one and are working together against a common enemy with a scale of 3 micron. It shows us a common aim made us to cooperate effectively, and we believe that because of these cooperations, humankind will prevail against this little enemy very soon. It's obvious that if you want to achieve higher goals, then the first thing you have to do is to cooperate. And setting up a real cooperation depends on having common targets. For example, working on airspace, especially on the space technologies, let you have a chance of changing something for a more beautiful future, which could be a common target for everyone. As I mentioned before, we are ready with our sufficient defense and airspace industry to cooperate with all of you. And our expectation from global aerospace companies is to work together for the future. As presidents of defense industries of Turkey, we will always support such kind of cooperations. I hope that the discussions and talkings in this platform will be very helpful for future cooperations and contribute to the industry for shaping their future plans. Finally, I want to show you the picture behind me, which illustrates upward looking of our founder Atatürk. It reminds us his motto, "The future is in the skies." It has been said approximately 90 years ago. With his inspiration and with our government's current vision, now we say that the future is beyond the sky. I wish it to be a successful panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everyone. And again, I would like to say welcome to our guests and the audiences. Tonight, we are here to talk about the future of the security, defense, and the aerospace. I believe that we will have a very useful and interesting discussion. We have very important and valuable guests. Each of them representative of the leading sector companies They are shaping the future of the industry with their innovative and groundbreaking technology. Our plan is, we plan to divide our session into two parts. Each guest will have 10 minutes long dedicated time period for each of part. And if we have enough time, we will ask questions to our guests from online or social media. In the first part of the panel, I would like to kindly ask my guests to give some information about their company's profile. And I want to start with giving some information about my company, Turksat. Turksat is a national satellite operator of Turkey. We provide data and broadcasting services to our customers through our 3 satellites located in 3 different orbital locations. As it is known, we are adding 2 new satellites to Turksat satellite fleet. Production of our new generation satellites, electric orbit raising satellites, I mean, Turksat 5A and 5B is ongoing. Also, Turksat 6A, which is a domestically built satellite, will be joining our satellite fleet in the very near future. With Turksat 6A, Turkey will be one of the countries which can manufacture a satellite. By 2022, we plan to provide many different services in air aviation, maritime, and land with mobility capability, and with our 6 satellites located in 3 different locations. Turksat has also terrestrial infrastructure. We provide broadband internet services and television, cable television services, and the voice services more than 1.3 million customers. And also Turksat supports the digital transformation of the government and organization and operates the e-government portal, which serves more than 5,000 services to more than 47 million Turkish citizens. As you all know, we as a world have been struggling with COVID-19 pandemic for months. Because of the pandemic, we started to change our habits, our priorities. Nowadays, we have 2 main concerns. One of them is health, the other one is the communication. The pandemic has forced us to get things done remotely, which needs robust communication channel. And we know that these changes will be shaping our futures in every field of our lives. But tonight, we will just focus on how it will affect the security, defense, and the aerospace industry. All we know that security and defense are very dynamic sectors, and the dimensions of them are changing and increasing as the technology is improving. The operational environment of the security and the defense has also been changed in the last few decades, and cyberspace and cybersecurity were added to operational environments because of the technological improvements achieved so far. Satellites especially have started to play an important role in the security and defense environment. Remote sensing satellites and communication satellites have been widely used for defense and security purposes like strategic intelligence or to support land, air, even aviation operations. Lately, satellites have gained extraordinary capabilities which have made them indispensable. Now, satellites are smaller but have more capacity and longer lifespan. For example, low Earth orbit satellites will be able to provide terabits of data capacity with a little latency. So the remote sensing satellites also can take photos with centimeter sensitive resolution. With flexible payloads, dynamic capacity, and the coverage management will be possible. We are witnessing the game-changing improvements, not only in satellites, but also in launchers and the rockets too. Now, launchers or rockets can carry more weight, multiple satellites at once, go longer distance, and they can even be reusable. We will be talking about these game-changing technologies in our discussion, so I want to cut it short and give the microphone to my guest. Let's start with Airbus. Good evening. How are you, Jean-Marc?
I'm good, Cenk.
Okay. Jean-Marc is the Nasser is the executive vice president of the Airbus Space. we have been working with Airbus in TürkSat 5A and 5B project for more than 2 years, and I want to thank to him for his support. And our teams have been doing really great job so far, and we are also excited about launch of our TürkSat 5A satellite this year. So 2020 is the year of the TürkSat 5A for us. And okay, Mr. Jean-Marc, let me ask my question. Naturally, my first question will be related with the pandemic. How do you think the space sector will progress after the pandemic ends? And what are your new projects? It's your turn.
İyi akşamlar, Turkey. Hello, colleagues. Very, very happy to be with you, and thank you, Cenk, for your introduction. I'm very honored to be participating to this webinar together with the colleagues of all around the planet. It's a great honor for me. Turkey is our home nation for Airbus, be it for Airbus Commercial, the A400M with Turkish Air Force, and what we do on satellite together. And it's always a pleasure for me to be talking to our Turkish friends and colleagues on that. So, as you know, Turksat is probably one of our most important customers. We have been selected by Turksat for the next 5A and 5B satellites, which are the very finest, latest technologies in full electric propulsion, giving extremely high power of telecommunication to Turkey. So it's for us a duty to be on time and to meet the expectations of Turkey despite the pandemic. And I will speak a minute about the pandemic here, which has hit us quite heavily, starting in France, 17th of March, but then also in Spain, in the UK, and in Germany. To be honest, we have been somehow blocked for 4 weeks in the month of April, but since then we have restarted. So we now are catching up, and I'm proud to say that thanks to the effort of our team and also thanks to the understanding of our customers, we are able now to catch up and continue to the integration of TürkSat 5A with the aim of launching satellite before the end of the year as committed. Now my colleague of SpaceX will tell us more about the launch, which is to happen at the end of the year as well. But it's a joint effort team that we do here. So the pandemic has hit us, but we have recovered. We had to invent new ways of working. We had to invent a new gel to disinfect the clean rooms that was homologated by ESA. We had to invent a new way of bringing people in and out of the clean rooms. And this has been done in a record time. So the pandemic has hit us, but it has not killed us. On the contrary, it has made us stronger. And I want to also here to pay my tribute to Turksat here as a company, as a customer, because you've been at our side all that time, and we could have exchanged information between us to make sure we understand each other, and we are side by side fighting against this pandemic, which is hitting us. I am very confident for the future, but yes, we have now to catch up, and we have to work very hard to come to deliver our commitments. So hit, but still up, and very proud of space for the future. As you said, space is going to be a main asset for the future, be it for telecommunication or Earth observation or any application of navigation. And the pandemic will not stop that. On the contrary, it will increase that. And the role of governments, especially in our home countries, and I am proud to say that Turkey is our home country, will be key to help space to still be a success. So I'm very confident.
Okay, thank you very much, Jean-Marc. And I got the message that we have to invent a way to make our job despite the pandemic. This is, I think, the key thing for us to manage for the future work of us. So I'm totally agree with you that we have to find a way to make our jobs despite the pandemic. Thank you very much for your exchanging for your experience and the thoughts. Now, and the next guest of us is the Mr. Tom Ochinero. Hi, Tom.
Hi,
Mr. Tom Ochinero, Vice President of the Commercial Sales of the SpaceX, and SpaceX is another teammate of TürkSat 5A and the 5B project, and both satellites will be launched by SpaceX Falcon 9 rockets, inshallah. And I want to thank SpaceX for their support so far. And let me ask my question, Tom. I don't want to make you wait so much. And Could you please tell us your present operational activities and your project, especially Starlink? Because I know that, I'm sure that people are very excited about your Starlink project, and they are I mean, they are following the Starlink project very closely. Okay, please.
Hi, Zhank, and hi, everybody. It's so nice to see all of you, my esteemed colleagues. It's a little unfortunate that we're not in person, but always nice to see the friendly faces. Just to give you a little update on where we are at SpaceX. We've been very fortunate here that SpaceX has been deemed an essential service by the US government. So we've not shut down. I'm not going to say it's business as usual, but the factory's been open. We've taken measures to make sure everybody's safe, but we continue to execute. I'm sure you've followed some of our activities, but we've launched 7 missions to date this year. We've had to scrub on this, I believe this weekend due to weather. We've got our 8th mission now coming up in 9 days. And that was the first mission where we flew people. So 2 astronauts going to the International Space Station, currently tracking on May 27th. So we're executing extremely busy. That's a big event for SpaceX since we started in 2002. This is the first time we get to fly people. So you can imagine the company's working extremely hard to make that successful. In parallel to that, we continue to execute on all the other aspects of our business, including, I'm sure you follow some of our Starship. This is our next generation rocket that we're building. There's been a lot of development there in Texas. We're about to do what's called a high altitude hop, about 150-meter flight of the 2nd stage. That's going to be happening here shortly. But activity and development on that vehicle is very rapidly progressing. In the meantime, we're also executing on all other fronts, such as, I'm sure Starlink is one of the things that you want to talk about. We can touch a little bit on that. We've launched 420 Starlink satellites to date, plus 2 of the initial demo satellites. So we're currently at 420 satellites. And we have many launches coming to continue to build out that network so that we can be in a position to do some beta testing, internal beta testing, maybe in a couple months, and maybe some external customer-based beta testing further on later on in the year. So we continue to execute on that side. And of course, on the core business, the Falcon launch side, we are always we're ready and we've been executing. And some of our customers have been impacted in that their travel restrictions have caused some issues. So they haven't been able to launch when we were ready. But that's beautiful because I have my internal customer Starlink who's ready to jump on if my customers are delayed. So we have great flexibility. And at the end of the day, we're ready to launch whenever the customer is ready. And to your point, I think, as Jean-Marc said, as an update on Turksat 5A and 5B, of course, we're extremely happy to be partnered with Turksat on these important payloads. And we're ready to launch whenever you are. I think we're currently tracking 5A towards the end of this year, and then 5B towards the beginning of first half of next year. So yeah, we completely appreciate you being a good partner with us throughout these difficult times, and look forward to launching both of these.
So you gave a good news to us then. So you are a lot of work to do. So you're lucky then. And let me ask one more question, Tom. How do you think rocket technology will evolve in the coming years and the next 10 years? What's your opinion about that? Because we know that you're putting really great effort to innovate something new and like flight-proven rockets, as I mentioned while entering the topic. And so, please, could you give us how do you think that the rocket technology will evolve? How long? How late?
Right, great. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. So the one thing you noticed, you mentioned already about our flight-proven technology. That's a term that we use. But basically, as you know, SpaceX is the only company in the world who can actually have a orbital-class booster that we can fly to space and land and refurbish and reuse. So we have a reusable booster. We also have a reusable Dragon capsule. That's a space capsule. And we also have a reusable fairing. So the only part of our current architecture that is not reusable is the 2nd stage. So this reusability concept, and I'm sure my friends, you've heard me repeat this over and over again, but I think that's really the core of being able to reduce the cost of launch to the point that we can make human species interplanetary species, which really is the goal of why SpaceX is doing what we do. So without reusability, we really can't achieve the economies, the price points, the scales that we need, and also the cadence, the launch rate that we need to make that goal a reality. So I really continue to believe that's the key element. To that end, that's why we're building Starship. The key difference there, aside from the size, it's a 9-meter vehicle, so it's the world's biggest by far. Of course, it's huge, but the critical element is that it's completely reusable. So it'll be the first 100% reusable launch system. So carrying the second stage, everything comes back, you refuel and fly again. And now we're about to realize our ultimate goal, which is the completely aircraft-like operations. You land, you refuel, you go again. And we're gonna hit a cadence of rapid launch, and that's gonna allow the schedule and the cost to come to a point where we can take hundreds of thousands of folks and start exploring the universe.
Thank you, Tom. And I got the message, the reusability. I think you are trying to put all of your efforts to gain some reusability in your rockets because of, I think the main reason is to gain some time because you want to send more satellites to the space. And the second one is, I think, budget. So I think as far as I understand, your efforts will be focus on decreasing the cost of the launching activities for the satellites, which will bring more satellites and more coverage areas and more capacity in the future, as far as I understand. Okay, thank you very much for your thoughts, and it was very useful, especially Starlink. I'm sure that Starlink explanations has taken really great attention. And now our next guest is Mr. Professor Temel Kotil. And Mr. Temel Kotil, President and the CEO of the aerospace, Turkish aerospace industries. And we are also working together on the TürkSat 6A project together. And they hold an important role in manufacturing the TürkSat 6A satellite. And I'm not going to dive into the details about this project. I'm sure that Mr. Professor Temel Kotil will enlighten us about their activities. And let me ask my question to him. We are all hoping for COVID-19 pandemic to end, and how are operations going to be performed or conducted in the defense and aerospace industry until then? Then how did you manage this period? And next, what should defense and aerospace companies do until the present conditions and the state of emergency arising from the pandemic has lifted? And how should these companies prepare themselves for the abolition of present conditions and the state of emergency arising from the pandemic? What would you recommend to these companies, especially in terms of investment, research, development, and the human resources? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Cenk. I think the voice is okay, right? Voice is okay, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Voice is okay. Very good.
Good. As an ex-airline CEO, maybe I want to start from there. And the biggest problem is actually the leisure traffic looks down, and the tourism will be down. This will affect the passenger aircraft manufacturer. That's like a part, but this is the bad part of this pandemic. Coming to Turkish Aerospace, my company specifically, actually, from the first day, what we did actually, we split our employees too, and we kept our employees about 14 days at home on the half, and the other half works, and we shift them every 2 weeks, So we spend about 2 months this way. And all the employees, including myself, actually, we sacrifice the vacation this year. So there will be no vacation end of the year, actually. So we do the vacation, isolate ourselves at home, This is the nice, wonderful vacation, our life, maybe we never see again, inshallah. And but coming to the June 1st, we're going to the full-scale working. So still we split our employees too. Half they works in the morning, and if we go back home evening, and other half they come at the late evening and stay at the midnight, So this way we're planning by the June 1st having the full force working together. I believe all the companies worldwide should have to find a way to work as a regular basis. Of course, we need to be cautious about this pandemic issues. We need to take the measure. Our companies, all the companies should be more careful, the employees and health, everything's much better than before. So studies, everybody is saying the same thing. The companies is very solid and in the operation, and care about the employers and the being hygiene, that's the nature everybody's supposed to be. And this is the key issues. Summing up, in the 2020, we plan and originally 23% growth in US dollar cents, So the budget was about the 23% growth in 2020, sorry. And still we're struggling, can we keep them the 23% growth? In your knowledge, last year in dollar cents, we grow about 43%, I mean, last year was a wonderful. And special thing about my company is the most of the business coming from the Turkish state. And so this means our income is solid, our project is solid if we are able to produce as much as possible. Coming back again in terms of man hours in the 2020, and we keep our original budget, in terms of man hours. As I said, until now we consume the vacations time, and it's a wonderful vacation at home, and you can guess. And but I do it myself, and my employees do it, so everybody feel the same pain from the management to the ground level. And my recommendation is every single person in the earth should be try to behave as the normal. We're not supposed to escape from this virus, but we need to take the measure about it. We need to make sure that we take all the measure. We use all the mask every time. Right now I don't have mask, but if I'm on the work, there's a mask every time. And coming back again, this could be takes years, 1 year plus, and could be second phases and so on. We should be prepared for it, and we should behave as it is, as normal life. This is the life with the viruses, And that's my company side. Coming to the aerospace actives in Turkish aerospace company, my company is we have a big division of aerospace. And Turksat 6A, hopefully it will be as beautiful as the Airbus making Turksat 6, the 5A, sorry. And that's what we are guessing, And on the launching issues, the Falcon rocket is wonderful things. And I observed, there was a video, and I was visiting one of the places who making this kind of launch issues, and there was the news so that the rocket coming back. This is wonderful things. I'm not the rocket engine, but I saw the rocket, how much cabling they need, how much equipment inside there is. When you throw it, not able to bring them back. It's very pity, And coming back, congratulations, the SpaceX and the Falcon rocket coming back. I remember still seeing the videos like when I was a kid, and there was the science fiction, so that the rocket coming back. It's the time that's coming back. Thank you. And Turksat 6A is doing very well. Hopefully, gonna launch on the time. And so working on the satellite business in the coronavirus is much easier than working other places, because the assembly and testing environment is virus free. We do all the things to clean the air there before bringing the virus on the sky with our satellites. So I mean, hopefully the satellite company keep continuing working as much as possible. But beyond that, the Turksat 6A, Cenk, we are working on the small geo, and we have a partner from Argentina, and hopefully we are having a customer very soon. And about 2 years plus, we're gonna launch another communication satellite, and they call small geo, and this new way of the electric propulsion and so on. Coming back again, we are happy working on the satellite business. We keep continue, but today, before the satellite, the pandemic is more critical issues. I will repeat myself, don't escape from this virus, but take the caution, make sure you stay away from you. It's very tiny things, but we keep continue working. And as a Turkish aerospace, we committed, we're going to have the same man hours
I think something went wrong with Mr. Temel Kotil's connection. I am sure that he's going to be recover his position and he's going to get connected to join our discussion. So I don't want to lose time, and because I want to summarize what he has given as a message to us, that as far as I understand, like many companies are working that from starting, at least in Turkey, we plan to start our works starting from June, and like TAI, Turksat also is planning to start its job and recover its pandemic the business process, and we are going to start as usual gradually starting from the June, and like TAI, and I'm very sure that the TAI will do his best for the Turksat 6A, like 5A and 5B, and I'm sure that I wish we can launch Turksat 6A with together, Mr. Temel. And let's jump to the next guest, and he's from Leonardo. Leonardo, Mr. Camillo Pirozzi. Sorry for my pronunciation. My Italian is not as good as my Turkish, so sorry about that. Mr. Camillo Pirozzi, International Marketing and Strategic Campaigns Vice President, Turkey, Central Asia of Leonardo. Leonardo is another key player in defense and aerospace industry, and I think Mr. Camillo will give us some brief information about Leonardo. So I'm going to ask my question to him. And how did you manage the pandemic period, Mr. Camillo? How are operations going to be carried out in the defense and aerospace industry until then? And what did your company do to protect its people during the emergency? And how should companies prepare themselves in view of evolution of the present measures? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang. Thank you very much, Mrs. Hilal, to invite Leonardo to this very interesting panel. A brief introduction of Leonardo. Leonardo is a company, a multinational group owned by the Italian, partially owned by the Italian government. 30% of the share are in the hands of our Ministry of Economy and Treasury. Is involved, it operates in aerospace, defense, and security. We are, according to the last revenues, among the top 10 company operating in defense worldwide, in, of course, in the sector which operate. And thank you very much for the question. Let me start first about what we did to protect. Hello, Mr. Kodil.
Hello, sorry, I lost. Come back.
Yeah, if
Okay.
do you want Mr. Kodil finish this
Please,
answer?
Mr. Camillo, please finish
Yes,
your turn. I'm going to give him extra 5 minutes to complete his speech to Mr. Temel Kotil. Okay? I don't want
Thank
to
you.
break into your speech, so I'm going to give him extra more minutes. Okay?
Thank you very much. I'll try to be very quick and short. So when we look, let me first answer to your question on what did the company to protect the employee. Without any doubt, health colleagues is priority for Leonardo. Since the very beginning of the pandemic, we were the first company in Italy to sign an agreement with the labor unions in order to define a safety protocol that ensured us to keep alive our production while protecting the safety of our employees. Then, second, we accelerate the digital transformation process already undergoing in our company with the massive use of smart working technology. For the future, for the phase for what we call phase 2 in Italy, which has started today, we will try to recover. We will try to implement a recovery plan actually to reviewing working calendar, to improve productivity of our side, and to recover accumulated delays. Also abroad, we are doing that. We will trying to accumulate any potential delay due to coronavirus pandemic. And of course, we kept open our office, representative office and company factories abroad. And for the future, we will try to be as much as closest to the client. What we would like to do after the emerging phase, I think that after the emerging phase, we should be competitive. In order to be competitive, a company has to be flexible, has to be very fast to respond to a new scenario. I believe, I am convinced that Leonardo has the necessary flexibility and speed to recover, to adapt to the new scenario. We can count on a very huge commercial network of our representative office and our factory in over 40 countries worldwide. And moreover, we have a huge portfolio of products that for sure can meet the new requirement after COVID pandemic. Just to give you an example, because to be honest, we never stopped. We slowed down a little bit, but we never stopped. We are even in the most critical days of the pandemic, we have continued to work for the future. Just few days ago, we have certified in the aeronautics sector, we have certified the new middle-class trainers, the M346. We have also certified to transport in biocontainment mode patient, COVID-19 patient on ATR 42 fleet operated by Italian custom police. Same certification will arrive soon for another of our planes, the C-27J. On the helicopter side, we signed an agreement with the European health and aeronautical authorities in order to transport on all of our helicopter in EMS electromedical configuration to transport in biocontainment mode patient. Let me say that some of model produced by Leonardo, in particular AW139, AW169, are the first helicopter, civil helicopter in the world that can transport litter in biocontainment mode. And these, of course, are capability that we are building during this period and can be certainly useful to respond to new requirement that will come from the coronavirus crisis. The result of the first 3 years, the first 3 months are in line with the expectation. Order signed in the first 3 years of 2020 rise to 3.4 billion, 36% more than the first 3 months of 2019. And moreover, we have a book order we reached 37 billion of order book backlog, which gives us 2.5 years of production. What we foresee for 2020, we don't know yet. We have not yet estimated the impact of coronavirus crisis that for sure is gonna be, but we believe that keep continuing to implement our industrial plan in a medium long term, we will absorb the impact, we will meet our expectation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Camillo. And then you had given a really important message, and it took my attention very much. You talked about the competitiveness after the pandemic. You are going to be more competitive. I'm totally agree with you that after pandemic, the most important that there will be a world, very competitive world, and all the companies should be ready to compete with the others. But you know that if we share our capabilities and combine them, then we can get more things and we can be more successful. While making our competition, we should keep our mind or bear our mind that friendship, partnership will be a key word for us for the much more competitive work. Thank you very much for exchanging your ideas and information. And because of technical reason, and I would like to give extra 5 minutes to Mr. Professor Kemal Kotil to sum up his words and sum up his speech. Kemal, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'm hearing. Yeah. Sorry. Not because of the Turkish satellite I cut off, you know. No. So we learn in this virus environment also other things. We need to cooperate. We need to compete. That's sure. This is what we're doing daily. And in the Turkey, in the domestic, the companies we come together, you know. And we used to compete on some Turkish companies. I'm not talking about the Turksat. But we come together. So this teaches us also worldwide. There is a new order, and companies also should cooperate. They should compete and they cooperate. So big question is, there will be less business or more business on the futures, and it could be on the leisure passenger traffic less business. That's sure. But the rest of the things, there is no need to assume that the economy will go down and business will go down, you know. I mean, I'm business traveler. I'm talking one of my friends recently on the US as a businessman. I promised him when Turkish Airlines started the line in the US, I will become the first customer to come, you know. And could be same thing on Italy also. I will be the first customer to travel. I mean, no, we are not scaring to travel. And the business travel will come back. But the leisure traffic maybe will be not come back that much fast. This will affect on the passenger aircraft business, not the satellite business. I mean, there will be more need for satellite, I'm sure, you know, but more telecommunication. And coming back again, and this told me, I need to cooperate, I need to compete, that's fine. And we need to look at them different way. This is a new order. Never escape from the pandemic. Take your caution and keep continuing growth. As I said, we promise ourselves as a company growth in Turkish airspace will be 23% as we planned before the pandemic. If this is the case, I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kemal. Thank you very much. So you say that we should put all of our efforts to make our business alive and bigger. I am totally agree. Inshallah, we have to support each other very much. And then last guest is Mr. Gurvinder Kohan, CEO of the Advanced Quantum Scientific Technology. AQST has really wide spectrum of space services or solutions in its portfolio. And Mr. Gurvinder will be talking about them, I'm sure about that. And my questions are, how do you think the space sector will progress after the pandemic? And same question, I think. And what are your new projects? I'm very excited to hear about that.
First of all, marhaba.
Marhaba.
And first of all, I'd like to start wishing a happy Ramadan month to everybody. And now it's a great honor and great pleasure to be here. And I don't know, some of you don't know, but I've been working with the Turkish industry for about last 15 years. And I've been also a board member for Canadian Turkish Business Council. I've been serving for last 7 years as a board member with Turkish Foreign Ministry, Istanbul Chamber of Commerce, and Canadian Chamber of Commerce and the Canadian Turkish Business Council. So it's been a long time. For the last 1 year, I did not come to Turkey, so it's a great pleasure to be here. So I'll just give a few second introduction of AQST, Advanced Quantum Scientific Technology. So base of foundation of our company is based on the technology, which is we call next generation technologies, and as well as joint venture and collaboration with different companies. That is the foundation of our company, where we look for the same-minded companies who are looking to grow, as well as who are looking for the new technologies and a smart way to do the business, not the traditional way of doing the business. So that is the way different what we are doing. So what we are doing, we are mainly focused on the technologies which are going to be from 5 or 10 years from now on. For example, one of the technology which we are working on, and we are already under a contract, is to develop a hybrid satellite with optical and RF. So providing 100, 400, 500 gigabit of capacity by 2023 and going to terabits by next few years by 2028, going fully optical. So what will happen is that we are getting rid of all these orbital slot issues, ITU issues, frequency spectrums, and as well as we are implementing the security parameters. We are also using the quantum key, where we are implementing quantum key encryptions on our most of the communication satellites, which becomes very, very secure to do any type of communication with the satellites and exchange of data. Secondly, we are working on artificial intelligence and machine learning languages for remote sensing and AIS satellite, automatic identification systems, for the surveillance, maritime surveillance, cross-border infiltration. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to develop mini or micro satellites, remote sensing, up to 30 to 40 centimeter resolutions, but with a smart intelligence on board, where we don't need bulky ground stations to do the image processing, onboard storage, or downlink and every time. So we can do the onboard processing, dump the processed data immediately to the operational offices to take the action, immediate action. So now coming back to the pandemic. Yes. It's a pandemic, it's a sad. We see so many lives being lost all over the world. But at the same time, it has given us a opportunity to rethink of our strategy. What we need to do? We need to do a smart way of working, developing our more efficient tools, and as well as coming with the new ways of providing solution to the customer, where customer can feel comfortable sitting at the home or sitting in his office. So this is why we implemented a lot of our offices for people who are in the design or engineering working from home. And as they said, we have a clean room. So most of the people, they can go in the clean room. They are sanitized automatically every day. So they don't need to worry. And unfortunately for us, we have not been impacted much because we continue to develop our new tools and smart way of doing. And our main focus, as I said earlier, for the new projects are, as I mentioned earlier, hybrid RF and machine learning languages. And thirdly, we are developing our own shuttle, a deployable shuttle. It's a reusable shuttle which will go in operation in 2022, which will go to the LEO operation in 22 and 26. We plan to go to the lunar orbit, which will be autonomous deployable shuttle, which will go fly and come back to the Earth. And there will be no man, it's unmanned. So it can be used for surveillance, for deployment of the payloads, and it can be ready to deploy the payload in less than 2 weeks. So we don't have to wait for a few months and weeks for the launches to take place. So currently we are targeting up to 300 kilogram of the payload, which can be deployed in less than 2 weeks. So this is overall our global introduction. And as I said, we are working on a smart way of doing work.
Okay, thank you very much. And I mean, you pointed out really interesting topics. I mean, the first one is the hybrid satellite, which sounds really interesting. I mean, if you can bunch different capabilities in the same satellites, it will be really very much attractive, because it will, I think it will decrease the unit cost of the either communication or the remote sensing. So it sounds really, really interesting. And as you said, after 5 or 10 years, it's really probable and it's really possible to see that kind of many satellites in the space. The second one is the quantum encryption. I have been following the quantum encryption for a long time, because it is really a game changer. Because if we make this happen, then we will learn many things. Many encryption algorithms will be useless. So it's really the breakpoint for the whole world. So I'm really the close follower of that, and I will be following you about this. And because the security of the satellites is an approaching issue for the countries who have satellites in space. So that's why we have to somehow encrypt, and I will be asking that question in the next phase, but I'm going to give some words about that. The data encryption is one of the most important topics in nowadays. As I said in the entrance speech, that the opening remarks, that the data transportation is one of the most important issue for the time of being. And thank you very much for, and the last one, I was going to miss that, and the onboard processing. Then I read the paper that we have been spending money not for the satellites, for the base station. Don't
Exactly.
have that capability on the satellites on board, then it will decrease some spendings for the end user drastically, because otherwise we can't compete with the terrestrial guys and the mobile guys per kilobit per unit. So those points are really important, and it will be shaping our satellites industry's future. Thank you very much for pointing out that. Okay.
That is.
Thank you again. Thank you, Buyur. And now we finished the first part of our meeting, our discussion, and we have mostly talked about the pandemic-related issues. And I don't want to lose so much time, and I will start the second part, and I will be asking more global and more futuristic questions to you guys. And again, let's start with Airbus, as we did before. And Mr. Janmar, the question is that, since security is our main scope, security and defense our main scope, what are your opinions on data security, satellite coverage, and the increase of these two phenomena in the world? And the second one, in which fields and products do you foresee a leap in the next 5 years? Thank you. Could you open your microphone, please? We can't hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Okay, super.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Cheng. Very important one to paving the way to our future. I will start by the second part of your question, which is on which we are working now, and which is the leap in the future. And I'm not talking about science fiction. I want to rebound on what Tom said about the reusability of launchers. We are now working on a new category of satellites, flexible satellites, that will allow a customer or an operator like CureSat not only to launch in 18 months after contract, to have a satellite in orbit 18 months after contract signature, provided the launch companies are on time, which is always the case. Mm-hmm. It's also half the price of a normal GEO satellite, but last but not least, it is a satellite fully flexible. You can reprogram the mission of satellites in space to change the mission. That's not science fiction. This is called OneSat. We have already sold 3 of them to Inmarsat, and we see a very strong traction of these satellites for the future. Those satellites will allow for a completely flexible mission. We even think of a second-hand market for satellite. An operator can resell satellite to another operator and restart a new mission, which is a completely new paradigm in the satellite industry. Up to now, satellites were tailored to customers and could not be reused by others. That's coming now as true from our industry, and we expect this to completely shape the commercial telecom market in the future in cooperation, in conjunction with Constellation, that will also play a role here. We see a change in there. Half price, twice faster in orbit, fully flexible. And then it comes to your first part of your question, which is data security and cyber security. This is something which is absolutely key for our future. What we do, I don't know if you're aware, but 40% of satellites we are doing for communication are for governments. They are serving armed forces in different countries. We cannot make any compromise with that. So cybersecurity, be it from the ground segment to the space segment, is our main driver for development. And it comes to what Govinder said about optical links between ground and satellite. We have a new generation of optical inter-satellite link that will allow for fully protected data link between satellites and between satellites in low Earth orbit, geostationary orbit, and the ground, fully encrypted through optical communication. That's gonna change completely the way we do things. Imagine tomorrow, if we connect the cockpit of an aircraft with satellites, we will not be able to tolerate any kind of deviation for that. And the single pilot cockpit is our next generation. Also, the future combat aircraft system in Europe and others like that will have to connect, tankers, transport aircraft, UAVs, satellite. All this will have to be done in a secure way, and that's what space is going to bring to this new paradigm of governmental telecommunication. So we are working on all those fronts together with our partners and competitors around the world, and we think this will really open the market going forward. And the pandemic is only asking us to go faster, quicker, and better to serve our customers. So we are very confident this will be a new game changer in satellite communication, aircraft satellite links going in the future.
There are many good news tonight and interesting topics. We have been talking about that, and the flexible payload is really a really interesting topic, and it's, as you said, is a game changer innovation for the satellite world, because the markets are very dynamic. So, and the demands are changing so fast. So we as a supplier have to cover all the demands, and those are very changeable demands, especially in the security and the defense area. And since we are living in a global world, the requirements of our countries or requirements of our customers and their connectivity requirements cannot be estimated before. So we have to be prepared and we have to be agile in order to recover all of these requirements. So the flexible payload will be the remedy for us to cover all of the changing requirements of our customers, not only in the aviation, not only in the maritime or the land, all over the world. The connectivity is getting importance as we have faced with the Industry 4.0, then satellites will be more important in order to get that connectivity. The second one is our main concern is the security nowadays, the data security. And as far as I understand, the optical link is a good way to protect our data, because it is not a common way. It's not being used for a long time, or it's the first time for you to use that kind of security measures against the cyber security attacks. So it sounds very good. I will be following the optical links, and I have heard that optical links will be using among the satellites in order to transfer some of the data instead of sending it back. But this is the first time I heard that the optical links will be a good solution for the cybersecurity concerns. Thank you very much for giving that really important information. Okay. Again, I would like to ask question, Mr. Top, SpaceX. What kind of opportunities do you think will arise for space sector in coming years? And could you please tell us about your future plans? Like, Starship, you had already given some information, but do you have any other kind of projects like Starships? And what should defense and aerospace companies do to prepare themselves for the space sector? And do you see also opportunities for SMEs or technology startups? And what would you recommend to these companies, especially in terms of investment, research, development, and especially in the human resources? Okay, Tom.
Cenk, those are great questions. I was kind of jotting down. I'll try to address each one of them. Let me begin by talking a little bit about Starship, because we're very excited about this. I'm sure a lot of folks are following it, but basically it's got it's a 9-meter diameter vehicle. So it's got the world's biggest forward payload compartment ever. It's the biggest one that's even being contemplated. So when it goes into service, it's going to produce a service capability that doesn't exist, hasn't even been talked about. And as this comes into service, it's going to open up all kinds of different opportunities. And I can give you some of the concrete examples that are public already, so that I can share openly. There's a good announcement that came out with NASA. They selected Starship for their HLS program. This is to take astronauts to the surface of the moon. So it's in the 2024 timeframe. That's very exciting to have an organization like NASA look at Starship and select it as the technology for their future for human transportation. So that's a very important endorsement from NASA for Starship. In addition, the other big one that I'm sure you're familiar with was an announcement that came out a couple of years ago for a mission called Dear Moon. This is a billionaire customer in Japan, and him and 8 or 12 of his artist buddies going around the moon in the 22-23 timeframe. So that's a manned mission around the moon coming up in not more than a couple of years. So those are 2 very high-profile, exciting Starship missions that we can talk about that opens up all kinds of capabilities, right, on human spaceflight side, taking people to the surface of the moon. But also, like, if we were to take a step back and just think about what the vehicle can do, the performance for Starship, as it stands, 21 tons of payload capability to GTO and over 100 tons to LEO, and this is the non-refueling version. So if we were to add on-orbit refueling, all those numbers bump up to over 100 tons. So now we're talking about a vehicle, we can deliver 100 tons to LEO, 100 tons to GTO, we can do 100 tons to the surface of the moon, we're talking 100 tons also to Mars. So it just opens up capabilities that aren't orders of magnitude bigger than what's been imagined in the past. And I'd like to, invite everybody on a trip back through history when we started in 2002 and see how far we've come. And if you were to look at all the promises we made, sure.
I took note of that invitation. It is on the records. So you have invited us to see that. I took that invitation in my records. I'm going to make you remember about that invitation.
Okay. It opens up all kinds of exciting opportunities. Yes, please do that. But the kind of numbers I'm talking about in terms of performance, the 100 tons to the surface of the moon, 100 tons to the surface of Mars, if you were just think about that and let that really sink in, and then look at our track record of SpaceX's execution starting at 2002, when we started talking about landing rockets. I remember people laughing. And here we are. It's so normal now. It doesn't even make the news. Rockets landing on the barge drone ship or coming back, landing at the launch site. So we've executed. So everything that I'm telling you about Starship, we are executing. And maybe we can argue about, is it really coming this year? Is it coming next year? But beyond that, the technology is coming. So to answer your second part of your questions about SMEs and other suppliers and what people in the market can do to position themselves, I'd maybe answer that 2 ways. One is look at this Starship and look at the capabilities that's going to open up. So maybe if you want to look at the traditional TAI, spacecraft manufacturing in Turkey, I'd like to invite them to look at the space and look at this mass. We're talking 100 tons, 9-meter volume. So maybe the paradigm can be shifted on the way we design spacecraft. Currently, I think everybody's talking about optimizing for mass. Can we remove one more sheet of carbon fiber to make it slightly lighter? because we're always thinking less is better in terms of mass. But now with Starship, that paradigm doesn't exist anymore. I think maybe you might want to think about how can we make it cheaper and faster? Maybe instead of carbon fiber, switching to traditional alloys. These are trades that the industry isn't really accustomed to making, always trying to make it better and better, lighter and more high tech. But with the amount of launches that are going to be happening, the high cadence, and the amount of mass that we can lift, you really need to think the assets don't need to be up in space for 15, 20 years anymore. So these rockets are going to be flying every day. So maybe you want to think about shorter lifespans, high refresh rate, much lower cost. So that's one piece that it opens up. And the other one is the more exciting part about making humans multiplanetary. So we've told you that we're going to the moon, we're going to Mars and beyond, and we've been very explicit about our timeline. So when you think about that and what we're doing in terms of focusing on the transportation piece, there's a lot of opportunities for everyone around the world, businesses, to think about how they can contribute. We're doing the transportation, there's ancillary services, all kinds of space economy that needs to exist for all of this to be successful. So I encourage everybody to look at our roadmap and see where you fit into that brilliant future, and then come to us because we're traditionally not going to be sending out RFPs on this type of request. But I just say, if you have a great idea and you want to contribute to this path, reach out to my folks who cover the country, like my teammate here, Omar Kumbarji, who's in Turkey a lot. Just reach out to him and tell him, I've got this crazy idea, and I think you guys could use this for Starship, and we'd love to look for partners. So come with us as we go explore the universe.
So we can tell in short that if you have an idea, no matter where you're from, which cause a paradigm shifting, and your doors are open to them. Can we say that?
We're open for crazy ideas, and you know where we're going. So we're looking for partners who'd like to come with us. So yes, please reach out to us if you have great ideas.
So Starship is a milestone for I think as far as I understand, Starship is a milestone for the space search and deep space exploration, something like that, because the Starship will open new era for the space explorations with such a huge cargo capacity. And so it's going to, we will be following the Starship improvements, and depending on that, we will see the new innovations in the space and the outer or the deeper space. Okay, thank you very much, Tom. Your ideas are very interesting, and your topics are very interesting. But we have limited time, and thank you very much for joining. Okay, and the second part for the time, and Mr. Professor Temel Kotik. And your questions are, and what kind of opportunities and the risks do you think will arise after abolishment of the emergency state and normalization process? You already mentioned a little bit, but I want to ask again, and what are the things get you both excited, saying you, or concerned or anxious for the defense and aerospace sectors, because you have really huge experience about it. And the last question of yours, we have witnessed that defense and aerospace companies were able to manufacture certain equipment in order to serve the medical field by directing their advanced facilities and abilities towards this field of requirement. We have a really perfect example in Turkey to make this happen, to make this concrete. And what kind of contributions do you think defense and aerospace companies can make towards medical and other miscellaneous fields? It's your turn.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, what happened with the pandemic to myself, as a CEO, I realized that I have more time than I thought, and because we're stuck at home, and you go to in front of the notebooks and you're checking what other guys are doing, and other guys doing very nice things like this SpaceX issues, so many nice things happening, and the startups and small companies, they're doing great on the distance learning, whole the education systems collapse worldwide. Coming back again, as I said, what I realized, I have more time than I thought, And you guys hearing me? Your problem?
Yeah, we can hear you. No problem at all.
Okay. And so I have more time than before.
Okay.
And also I realized that, okay, let's check my company, how I operating the Turkish airspace.
Okay.
Is there anything I am wasting? Is there anything we can do more? Can we work together with the other companies worldwide, So, and so also in our administrative issues, I fixed so many things in the last 2 months. And the procurement, we fix it. It was taking more time than before. So as I said, this pandemic teaches us that we need to save time, the money, our effort, our people, and so it's really refreshing us. That's the one issues actually, and also it taught us that we need to cooperate. And I mean, even the war in the Libya and the Yemen, which is very, very bad. I visited the Sana, Yemen, several times as a Turkish Airlines CEO. It's a very beautiful one because of the conflict. So many people died there. Even they stopped the killing each other. Hopefully, it will become the final things for all bad things. Coming back again, and then there is a new order in the earth, and everybody need to shape up himself and need to check what he can do, what we can save, and how we can help the others. And also there's a good opportunity for Turkish Aerospace to collaborate on other worldwide technology companies, small one, a big one. We start to contact with them actually. As I said, and we have more time than before because we're spending the meeting online. And online meeting is more effective than the face-to-face. Believe me, And the only thing is you don't have the coffee and the tea serving to you. And so it's new order, and we sharpen our things. We do so many investment before the pandemic happened, and new facilities in aerospace part and also the other composite part, and we keep continuing complete them. And even in the 2020, our investment plan no change, and hopefully we're gonna add more money on the investment side. Okay, and maybe I'm repeating myself. This is crisis on the worldwide, and worldwide economy is affected, and the companies are able to move and bring new ideas. Like the specs talking about the price of the launching things and building satellite and optimize it. Maybe there will be a new way making satellite. And I make him short. There's a new order, and we need to learn, and we need to work closely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Professor Talat Kotirant. Our next guest is, again, from Leonardo Camillo. Mr. Camillo, how do you think this emergence has changed the aerospace, defense, and security sector and your company? And in which fields and products do you foresee lead in the next years? Again, from your company or from your point of view, I would like to learn that. And what is your opinion on data security, satellite coverage, and the increase of these two business sectors in the world? And what is your approach to these sectors? Thank you very much. It's your turn.
Okay. Events like unpredictable events like COVID-19 will generate in everyone a huge. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. No problem at all. We can hear you.
Okay. So will generate a big and huge sense of concern, and the first reaction you may have is to think at a short time. A company like Leonardo, operating in the aerospace and defense, being considered a strategic asset of the country, is called to ensure services and product in order to fight a pandemic. So there was no time to think on a short time. We had to react immediately and to adapt ourselves to a new scenario. What we did for the pandemic during the most critical days of the pandemic. Of course, we slowed down a little bit, but we never stopped. From the very first day, Leonardo has been at the side of our institution, of our client, of our stakeholder, of our partner. What are the sector that, in our opinion, were considered the more, let's say, demanding during the pandemic? Definitely secure communication, satellite service, both telecommunication and broadcasting, cyber security, especially in a moment with the large use of smart working and video conference. We had, as Mr. Codil said, tried to invent new thing. We had to invent how to convert our production. And what we did, we convert the production in one of our factories in the south of Italy to produce valves, special valves, using the 3D printing technology to convert a snorkeling mask in respirator for sub-intensive therapy. Leonardo put at disposal of our institution a fleet of aircraft, in particular C-27J AITR 72, to transport medical device from within Italy and from abroad. On this stand, please let me thanks again Turkish authority to permit us to use an aircraft ATR 72, part of the Meltem 3 fleet, which was in Italy waiting to be delivered to the Turkish Navy. Again, what is the future, in which sector we think would be the more with the biggest potentiality? We believe that this emergency has shown that is crucial satellite services and cybersecurity. On the cybersecurity side, we keep in operation our security center in Italy and UK to provide the cyber services to private and governmental institutions. We also offer 2 months free service to the first 100 company that required that services of cyber security service to protect that company from the threat, from the cyber threat in the world. In the satellite sector, we kept open our space center in Fucino in Italy in order to ensure operativity of the in-orbit satellite, broadcast and telecommunication satellite services, and with the Egeos, a company partially owned by Telespazio, we guarantee Earth observation services to our government. Now we believe that, in our opinion, these are the 2 sectors with the major potential for the future. And the service can be even improved if these services are combined with big data processing, use of supercomputer, and artificial intelligence.
Are you finished?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And we are totally agree with you. The big data, 3D printers, and artificial intelligence will be shaping our future. And we are going to create a new way of doing our job. So in order to decrease the time in order to decrease the cost. So we should be more competitive by using the technologies, especially big data and artificial intelligence. We will be having a great role to make better job, to make faster productions. So we have to keep following these new innovations to make a better profit. Okay, and the last questions comes to our next guest, Mr. Corinder. The question, I'm going to repeat the same question to you because I want to see everybody's perceptions for the same questions to show the different approach of the different important companies. So it would be very useful for our audiences to see the different approach coming from the different time zones of the world. And your question is that, what are your opinion on data security again? And satellite coverage, of course, and the increase of these phenomena in the world. And in your opinion, in which fields and products do you foresee a leap in the next 5 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Jagdeep. So I think I covered a little bit of here and there. And I would say that all of my colleagues who are here today, we all are talking the same language. What is the smart way of to do business, intelligent way of to do business, more efficient way of doing business, and as well as more secure and efficient way of providing the services to the customer at an affordable price. With keeping this mind, so our goal has always been like that, that for the next 4 or 5 years, what we see, as I said earlier, is the optical and hybrid payload. That's what we are focused on. And our first satellite will be flying in 2022. We are already under contract, so it will be a reality by end of this quarter Q4 of 2022. The first satellite will be up. I give you an example. A few years back, or maybe 10, 15 years back, everybody was debating and everybody was saying, oh, this is impossible. We cannot do the flexibles. We cannot do this and this. And now everybody's talking is a day-to-day routine. So what we say today is not possible, or this is a fiction, this cannot happen. We should not say that because we don't know the future. In 4 or 5 years, it will become reality. We can always see every company is working toward that goal of achieving the next generation of technology, which is the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and flexibility, and more throughputs. And a few years back, when we had a Viasat launched with the 450 gigabit, and everybody was saying, oh, it will never happen. And now you can get almost the same satellite, almost half the cost. So this is what we are talking about, the evaluation of the technology and next generation. So what we are more focused on, security and defense and security, with respect to our focus is only on the optical and the quantum key encryption embedded inside, and as well as with the inter-satellite links, which we already have from 10 to 50 to 100 gigabit, which are already being proven on different programs for the US Air Force, as well as with the European partners. So those we are trying to encrypt with the quantum key. That's the main basic technology what we are using. And we are focusing on 1550 nanometer wavelength technology, which is like a base of the optical technology. And as well as we are very much focused on the ground segment, which is sort of again fully optical instead of RF or converting into RF. So we are talking about fully optical, complete optical linkage for the remote sensing, defense, security, interborder security, intelligences. This is what our future, which is future looks like. Now we are working on a new mission for a definite country, which we are already under contract, to deliver them a constellation of 4 satellites, which will be micro satellites with onboard machine learning and artificial intelligence, fully autonomous. It will detect everything, will do automatically. You have a pre-program, you have pre-instructions. This is what I need to detect. If anything happens, the satellite will dump the data to you. So that means you are already talking about artificial intelligence where your human intervention is less. The people on the ground are less involved, and you get what you want to do. You need to focus only on the problems. When you see some data which is really impacting your day-to-day work, that's what you need to look at it. You don't need to look at 100 millions of gigabit of data to find out 1 gigabit of problem. So this way, artificial intelligence, what we are trying to do next year, hopefully we're going to launch the first CubeSat, which will have that capability to give you precisely what you want to do, what you're looking for, not exactly the whole dump of a stack of garbage, but exactly precisely what you want to do. So, and not even, you need to not to spend time because it's already pre-processed imagery. You already have the result in front of you and you make a decision, I do it or not do it. And that takes like less than 10 minutes to make that decision, instead of hours and hours of data processing, selecting the data, what you want to do. So this is what our focus would be for next year, which we are trying to do right now. I hope I have answered the question, both questions.
Okay. I mean, as far as I understand, the people are agreed that the big data, artificial intelligence, and even the quantum computing will be the innovative technologies in the future. They will be a game changer. And but you mentioned about, again, an interesting fully optical fiber, fully optical communication. You mean that you are going to use just the fiber communication, and you are not supposed to transpose anything to another, to RF or something like that. It will be much more faster, much more secure using that, as far as I understand. Okay, let me ask I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Could you open your microphone, because I want to ask a question. Now my questions was finished, but I have one more question to you. And you are talking about the quantum computers and competing. You are quantum. If this happens, and if we can be successful as a human being, then as I said before, everything will change in the world. And all the things that we have memorized so far, we have to forget about this. Even encryption algorithms, AES, something like that. And many of the countries already start to work on that. And my question is that if we can combine the quantum computing with the CubeSat, are we supposed to have that big satellites in order to have terabytes of data bandwidth?
No, I think you will be surprised. Like we have been working with the Singapore CQT, Center of Quantum Technology. I'm sure you're aware of that. And they are the world leader in quantum technology right now. So we are developing a very small miniaturized, like they are size of like a few, like say a few inches, the onboard processor, which implement the QKD algorithm. Mm-hmm. And doesn't matter. We can do 100 gigabit, you can do 200 gigabit of capacity. And we demonstrated up to 10 gigabit. And now we are going to go 100 gigabit in 2021. Sorry, yes, for the microsat. That will be using about 100 gigabit with onboard QKD encryption. So that will be the stepping stone for many companies to look into the future. So coming back to the first question, you asked me optical, fully optical. So that's a two-stage. The first, in 2022, we are launching the hybrid, which is a RF plus optical, and 25 will be fully optical, 100% fully optical. And that we are talking about 500 gigabit of optical capacity. That's the two-step we are talking about here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as I said before, I finished my questions, but in the beginning of our meeting, I had talked about that some question may come from the online or the social media. I have a question for Mr. John Mark Nasser, and it's a really interesting question. And let me ask that question to you. A question about LEO-based telecom satellite constellation projects. We know that Airbus has been a partner and investor in OneWeb project, which is similar to Starlink. And how do you see the impact of OneWeb that went bankrupt recently on Airbus space? And do you believe that it will continue and become a success story eventually, taking into account other projects like Starlink of SpaceX and Kuiper of Amazon? What's your opinion about that?
Sorry for the glitch. No, I will not. Yes, I think, well, I cannot comment too much on that because OneWeb is an independent company, which is under Chapter 11 process at the moment. We are not involved in this Chapter 11 process, which is a fully controlled process. We just hope that someone will take over from the main shareholder of OneWeb and continue the story. What is important for us as a satellite builder is that the 74 satellites that have been launched are working perfectly well. And we've been producing them twice a day with absolutely zero impact. So the performance is there. Now the main shareholder of OneWeb had to face an issue in raising the financing that was needed to finish the constellation. I cannot comment on these because these are different companies, but I strongly hope that it will recover. I think the concept of OneWeb is definitely an innovative one. We've never been producing 2 satellites per day as we are doing now. I know Starlink is doing the same kind of things. We have completely reinvented the way to produce satellites. And as far as Airbus is concerned, what we have learned out of OneWeb is still a great asset for our company going forward. So I just hope, cross fingers, that the story will continue, but it's not in my hands.
But we can say that in OneWeb project, you are successful to mass production of the satellites in the first time in the world.
Oh, yeah.
2 days.
2 satellites per day.
Yeah, 2 satellites per day is unbelievable amount of satellites because I'm very familiar with the satellite manufacturing process, and I know that how much tedious jobs you have to do, and you have to be very careful. You have to test many times. So 2 satellites per day is unbelievable. And
absolutely.
I wish LEO will be really good exit for the digital divide of the world, and I believe in that. I wish like Starlink and the OneWeb will be successful to provide connectivity all over the world. And
absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you for sharing your ideas and experiences with us. The presented ideas, approaches, and the given information are very interesting and useful for everyone. I'm sure about that. And with your permission, I want to sum up with closing remarks. And we are all agree that the security and defense requirements and the conditions are changing rapidly. And the fast-changing environment creates blue areas, which cause threat to the security and the defense sector. And that's why in the future, defense and the security sectors will be more data-driven. So they will be trying to accumulate data via different sensors and the resources from the field environment. Then they will process the decision support information. In order to have clear view of the environment, aerospace technology has been providing many tools. Because of existing capabilities of the satellites have taken on an important role in security and defense. We are all agree about that. And they can be used either as sensors, like remote sensing satellites, or communication infrastructures, not only for the sensors, but also for the streaming data. And we have observed that the aerospace industry has been working on disrupting new technologies in order to get resilient communication. In the future, new frequency bands, especially Q and B, which is higher than 30 gigahertz, will be put in use. LEO constellations like Starlink and high throughput satellites in GEO will provide huge amount of bandwidth and mobility, and also will provide resilient communication infrastructures for even Internet of Things. Flexible payloads will make satellites agile and to respond to immediate requirements of the security and the defense sector. Satellites size and the manufacturing time are decreasing, but their capacity and lifespan is increasing. And also, launching technologies are improving, and we can launch many satellites in a rocket within a short time. Because of these reasons, a decrease in unit service cost will be observed, and satellite-based solutions will be really good alternatives for the defense and security sectors. All of these improvements will make satellites and aerospace means indispensable in terms of the security and defense sector. Before finishing, I want to thank the SEDEC team for their effort in organizing SEDEC Talks. And again, I want to thank our guests for participating and sharing their really valuable thoughts. And also, I want to thank our audiences for watching us. Have a good and healthy days. Thank you very much.
A source of pride for Turkey as a global brand that designs and produces defense technologies in aerospace. Turkish Aerospace. Since its foundation, Turkish Aerospace has been one of the few institutions capable of developing and producing complex technologies with global standards. It pursues a leading position in Turkey with its 100% national capital structure, facilities covering a 6 million square meter area, and thousands of employees. Turkish Aerospace, which works day and night to provide defense and aerospace products to meet global requirements, and leads Turkey in aerospace. With aircraft, helicopters, unmanned aerial vehicles, space systems, and aerostructures, the Turkish Aerospace brand value has significantly raised in the industry. All the steps from design to testing and finally production are conducted by Turkish Aerospace engineers. Turkish Aerospace is making its own way in the world of global competitiveness by producing military and civil aircraft systems with its own logistics support, solutions development, and superior engineering capability. Turkish Aerospace, the architect of many projects, has achieved the most challenging goals and has turned Turkey's dreams into reality. We are inspired from the crescent and the star on our flag. Turkish Aerospace.
Stage 1 locks closing out.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
We have liftoff.
Starting its operation in 1987 in Ankara, Ivetik Organized Industrial Zone has now become a major industrial production hub, offering employment opportunities for 120,000 people and hosting 8,000 companies from 23 different sectors in more than 30 years' time. Established in partnership with the administration of Ivetik Organized Industrial Zone and Yildirim Beyazıt University, Technopark Ankara has a unique structure where production-oriented infrastructure merges with the academic knowledge. Combining over 30 years of industrial experience of Ivetik Organized Industrial Zone, the second largest organized industrial zone in terms of human resource in Turkey, with the academic knowledge offered by the Yildirim Beyazıt University, Technopark Ankara is undergoing a transformation among the technological development zones. Starting its operations in 2017, Technopark Ankara built over a total of 75,000 square meter area, has a rentable area comprising 8 blocks and 25,000 square meters, 22,000 square meter R&D offices, 3,000 square meter physical infrastructure allowing the prototyping and manufacturing of large volume industrial products. Render Technopark Ankara a center of attraction for enterprisers willing to make their dreams come true. Supported by the city of Ankara, which has always managed to offer contemporary production needs in every period, Technopark Ankara hosts the eye-opening companies which carry out the manufacturing mainly of machinery equipment, hardware, and software, which are requirements of today. Accomplishing successful projects, especially in defense and aviation industry sector, Technopark Ankara differs in this respect. Putting a brand new formation into practice thanks to young and energetic driving force of the city of Ankara, Technopark Ankara continues to meet the contemporary requirements by means of software, information, and hardware projects.
O zamanlarda insanlara bir ışık olmuşuzdur. Çok güzel konular konuştuk çünkü. Bizim hepimizin bunları duymaya ihtiyacımız vardı. Çok çok teşekkür ediyoruz.